We're here to talk about Warface, and you're watching Connected Digital World.
Would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you do?
My name is Joshua Howard. I'm the executive producer for Warface at Crytek.
Great. So do you want to tell us a little bit about Warface?
Yes, so Warface is Crytek's free-to-play shooter. We think of it as bringing the Crytek quality in gameplay and visuals into the free-to-play space. Very excited about what free-to-play does. It's a great thing for players. It's a great thing for us. It gives us a chance to deliver an exciting experience in a way that gives more choices than players have had traditionally. So we're very excited about it.
Great. I mean, obviously you guys have got quite a long and good history of excellent titles. Why free-to-play?
We think free-to-play gives players a tremendous amount of options, a tremendous amount of choices, and that's powerful. So for having first discovered and realized the power of free-to-play and watching what it was doing in the Asian markets, the founders of Crytek really felt like we could deliver a title that really maximized that for audiences worldwide. So it turned out to be a really interesting way to deliver entertainment and by empowering users to really give them the choice of deciding how they want to invest, we think that that's just a good thing. Good games win in that environment.
So obviously the game's still technically in beta, but has quite a few players around the world already. Do you want to give us some stats?
Yeah, I think at last trek we were around 20 million players worldwide, which is quite exciting. So one of the exciting parts about Warface is, as a brand, we've been live in Russia for over a year, and we've been in various phases of beta in China, in Korea, in Brazil, and more regions all the time coming online. So lots of people around the world playing the Warface experience, and really excited about being able to bring it now into the sneak peek and pre-open beta in the European and Western markets.
Excellent. Let's talk a little bit about the game itself. There are 4 different soldier classes. Do you want to tell us a little bit about those?
So 4 really well-balanced classes is really core to what we think Warface does well. The idea is give players a way to play that are similar, but with enough distinction to them that you can really feel like you're getting good at something. So the rifleman is your good general troop, but also has the ability to give ammo to any of the other players. This important co-op move. The medic, classically as you might imagine, helps heal other players, but is also a fantastic short-range attack. And then the engineer can heal other players' armor. So this is an important use while also having some other attacks. So these 3 classes work together with the rest of their teammates to really keep a squad moving and keep them fully functioning long into the game. As a new player, you don't have to really be an expert in understanding this, but as you get more into it, you realize that there's a lot of power that comes from that. And then the sniper. While the sniper has no additional special ability, his long-range kill is really so powerful, he ends up being a pretty important part of the squad much of the time, even if the others are there to sort of support him and make sure that he can be successful.
And there are obviously a number of different modes you can play for the game as well. Do you want to walk us through each of those?
At a high level, we think of Warface as really having 2 really strong parts. There's our co-op, which is where you're playing with people against the computer. And then there's the versus mode, where you're playing in large multiplayer settings. So as the 2 main sessions, the co-op really has the advantage of none of the intimidation of stepping into an environment where other players are going to kill you right off the bat and you not know what's going on. So it's very multiplayer. You're playing with other people against waves of bad guys in a variety of different settings and a variety of different mission modes, and that gets very difficult, and that can be its own very complete experience. At the same time, the versus mode, you might imagine there are a variety of standard modes that are offered, from team deathmatch to capture the flag to additional new modes just being announced in the sneak peek, a brand new mode. So in that side, you'll see new variations being released over time to continue to add more to the variety. So whether you're a co-op player primarily, or a versus player primarily, or someone who likes to play both of these are really authentic Warface experiences.
And how have you guys handled level balancing?
So the level balancing across the game is one of the things that we pay attention to, especially in the various regions we have. So while we have been live in Russia for a while and we're in beta in various other parts, it's been interesting watching how players respond to the same game in different ways and then adjusting the balance accordingly. And then taking what we know about a market before we step into it, like what we're doing in Europe, and making some preliminary guesses, but then using data to adjust that accordingly. So we've been able to look at the data and feel like we've balanced, say, the 4 classes pretty well. But if the data tells us that the players are starting to shift a little one way or the other, then we can make the subtle changes on the balancing necessary to really continue to deliver a fair experience.
One of the selling points for Warface that you advertise on the site is real-time weapon customization. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that and how you managed to get that to work?
So the in-game customization of the weapons is a great example of a feature that new players don't have to be worried by, concerned by. You can play the entire game all the way through. You can play hours of play without realizing that this functionality exists. But as a more experienced player, you begin to realize that you're unlocking a variety of attachments for weapons, and that in fact you can bring those attachments into play in multiple varieties. So to be able to, in the middle of a session, swap out what scope you're using on your rifle, to swap out whether you got a silencer or a stabilizer, these actually change up the variety and the strategy in the play considerably. So I like the fact that as a balancing element, new players aren't distracted by it, but experienced players see that there's a lot of depth in that. So that's a great example of how the game delivers a great amount of repeat play long after the initial session, because there's a lot more to explore than just initially might seem to the player.
And unlike another recently announced first-person shooter, you guys have already got female characters in the game. Was there a reason that you chose to put them in, or rather not make a big deal about it?
Yeah, I think we're constantly talking to our community in all of the various regions we're live in about what they want to see, about what they're excited by. And once in a while, the players come to us with an idea that we hadn't really thought of, but we thought it's worth giving a try. And this was true in our Russian region with the female skins. It's something that players have been asking for a while. We finally found a way to do it in a way that we felt was authentic to Warface, and it turned out players loved it. So when we decided to move into the European and Western markets, it was clear from talking to some early players that the female skins would also be an exciting element. So we've launched with some skins in the sneak peek, and there'll be more skins coming down the road. It seems to be something players really respond to, and in an online world, that's really the secret. Is talking to the players, involving them in where the game is going, and then demonstrating both things that they ask for as well as things they never imagined that really wow them. So the female skins were just a great example of players wanted it, we delivered it, and it turns out they're really happy with it.
Excellent. And have you got any plans to bring Warface to consoles, say, for example, Xbox or Xbox One?
So recently, Crytek and Microsoft announced an agreement that will be bringing Warface to the Xbox 360, and that's a project that's ongoing right now. We're talking about an early 2014 release, but other than that, there's not a lot of details that we're sharing. It's still early on. I think important for us is we think that the Warface experience will play very well on a console. As a console and PC gamer, I think it's a natural fit. And as a gamer, as a player, I'm really excited to see it spread to the console as well. Other consoles in the future, perhaps. We think the Warface game experience is strong enough, and we've certainly gotten interest from it, but there's nothing beyond the Xbox 360 deal that we're talking about this week.
Okay. And finally, have you guys had to develop any new special technology to get this game to work?
One of the powerful pieces about Warface is it is built on the Cryengine. And the Cryengine set of technologies really give us a bunch of fantastic abilities. Built in is the ability to iterate very high quality content. Built in is the ability to have amazing lighting. But there are some things that the Warface team had to do inside the Cryengine to really maximize being an online game. Like a tremendous amount of work going into making the networking something that worked very well in a persistent online game session. And now that's something that's much more core fundamental. But another area of work that we did a tremendous amount of effort in that has actually really benefited the Cryengine as a whole is we've spent a tremendous amount of time making the Cryengine be very successful across a much wider range of hardware than it might have been before. So Crytek was always about pushing the hardware to its limits. Traditionally, that meant high-end hardware. But with Warface, we knew it was important to push all hardware because in free to play, you've got to really let as many people in as you can. So with Warface, we've really taken the Cryengine and made it sing on hardware that's much older than you might imagine. And we think that's part of the secret to delivering this AAA quality experience in a free to play experience.
And for anyone who wants to get involved in Warface, how do they do that?
If you're interested in Warface, you want to know more, visit warface.com. That's going to be where you can sign up, where you can learn more, where you can get an invite, and come on in and join us.
Thank you very much for your time today.
All right, thank you.